Hi and welcome everyone, lovely to have you with me on my channel this morning. The prompt for today, as you will have just seen, is interactive, and I really enjoy putting interactive features into my journal simply because they become more enticing, more fascinating to the person that picks them up. Plus also, I love those features in any journal that I buy, and you don't have to do much to make your journal interactive. I mean, right from the off, I did a little salary closure here with a flap that opens up so that I could put my prompts inside, and that is just an interactive feature. Let me just open this up very quickly. So yeah, this is just a little interactive feature, as is this. Pockets and tucks, envelopes all become interactive features. Anything that swivels is an interactive feature. So I love doing anything like that in my journals, and when I saw the prompt for today, it gave me an excuse to add another one to this little journal. The other thing I love is origami, and obviously if you add origami bits and bobs to your journals, they become interactive features as well. A good while back I saw Sharman Coqilla make origami hexagons, and it was a good excuse to go away and have a play. And this is one that I made, and I thought that I would add one of these to my journal as my interactive feature. I'm not going to add this one because, as you can see, it's way too big. I'm going to make a smaller one. I am going to make it in the same material, and this is in vellum, because to do a book page on here would be lost really, so I'm going for vellum. So I'll be making that in a minute, and I'll show you how I make them. I will put the link in the description box to Sharman's YouTube channel, so you can have a look at her tutorial as well. And I'll also put the link in the description box to Meg's channel, because Meg is hosting this Junk Journal July challenge. So what are my thoughts for decorating this page? This is my back cover, as you can see. I'm just going to work on this portion on the left hand side, and it's a pretty blank canvas. I've got this scrap of paint splattered glassine bag, and previously in my journal I've been working on the reverse because the colours are more muted. But I thought I would work with this side showing because I love the play of this colour against the orange. Now, I have no idea what I'm going to do on this back cover in terms of decorating. I thought I would use a portion of this and perhaps create a belly band to go across my page for my hexagon to tuck into, or I might decide if I want to glue my hexagon down onto the page. I thought that I could use this as my background just to add a little bit more interest when I put my hexagon on top, because this is, again, as you can see, a pretty blank canvas apart from the decorative feature I've got in the middle. So let me show you very quickly how these hexagons are made. Now, I haven't lifted out a piece of vellum. I've lifted out just a piece of book page because I thought this might be easier for you to see. Now, this piece is 18 centimeters in height by 25 centimeters in length, and all I'm going to do is fold it down the middle, or fold it in half along the long edge. And then if I turn it towards me, I'm going to fold these two outside edges into the middle like that. As you can tell, I've pre-folded this, or it's been pre-folded. So you've created your fold in the middle, which is a mountain fold, and you've got the two outside edges folded into the middle to create a valley fold, so that it looks like that. Okay, so close up your left hand side, leave your right hand side open, and take this bottom left hand corner and fold it up to meet this edge here when it's folded down to the center line. So this edge to here. So I'm just going to fold that in. Now, you do want a bone folder for this. Make sure you crease and burnish well, because that will help you fold your hexagon at the end. So you've done your first fold, fold it in and burnish. Where it where the point meets at the bottom here, take that point and fold it up to this point. Now this is the one you've just folded in. This is your center line, and you've just folded this bottom left hand corner in. So now you're taking this one down here and you're folding that one up to that center point as well, like that. Okay, so you've got two little tucks. You've got one in there and one in there. Where your paper meets this edge, so at this point here, fold that point in to the center as well, like that. And that will bring in that outside right hand flap or edge for you. So your paper's now, let me just crease that, it's got out of skew a little bit. You should have your two flaps into the center fold right up there. And you've got three little flaps at the bottom, one there, and one there. Now what I like to do now is just take this point and just turn it round so that you've got the long edge towards you, like that. Now you have a line from this point to the center, and what you want to do is you want to take this edge here and fold it so that it goes flush against that line there. Okay, and that line was where that little pocket went in. Now it sometimes helps, or you might find it helps if you just put a ruler along that line like that, and then take your point and fold it. You don't need to do that, but you just might find it helps. Okay, so I'm going to take this edge and I'm going to fold it over to here. So I'm just going to go over like that and do a crease, and that creates your next little tucks in there. So now you're taking this point here, and again you're folding it into the center. Now when you're doing all these folds into the center, make sure that your points are not overlapping, they just want to be touching. So take that point, fold it into the center like that, and burnish, and that will give you an extra little tuck here. Let me open that out. So you've got this point, you're folding it over, and because of how your folds have gone on the back, it just gives you an extra little tuck there. So we're almost done. So you've got all those little tuck spots in place. I'm just going to rotate it again to get that long side towards me. Now what you're going to do is take this edge here, this long edge here, and you're going to fold it along this edge here. Okay, so this edge and fold it over. Now because of the length of this piece, this point here is going to go past the center just by a couple of millimeters. And if I hold this up to the camera, I'm hoping you're going to be able to see, I am just 2 or 3 millimeters past that center point. Just so long as you've got a little bit past that center point, it's fine, it'll work. So now what you need to do is, if you just hold this piece, you can see that your piece will open up quite nicely into 2 portions. So I'm just going to hold that portion open like that. You can see it will open up into 2 portions. And what you're going to do now is you're going to take this edge and you're going to tuck it under the very first fold that you made. Now you might be thinking that's not going to go under there, but if you open it up like this and just tip it over with your thumb, tip that point towards this line here, and if I lift that up and angle this piece, it will go underneath, and just gently slide it under. And you might need to wriggle it a little bit, but it will go. And you might find that you just gently need to readjust your folds so that they sit nicely. And there we have it. Okay. Now, the first time you do this, you might find that you need to keep on pausing the video to do your fold. watch a bit more of the video and then do your next fold, because it's easy to lose track of which bit you're folding to where. But once you've done it once, it becomes so easy and intuitive, and you'll have no trouble at all. And then to open it up, you just put your finger under the flap, and if you try the others, you can force them open, but the last one that you've done will very easily just pop out like that, and then you can just gently open your piece all the way round like that. I can use that as a little secret journaling spot. I can also put in there little bits of happy mail if I wanted to use this for happy mail. So I could put some labels or some stickers in here. Provided you don't put too many in there, you'll be able to create your folds. So you could probably get 5, 6, 7, 8 in there, depending on how thick your stickers are. So I'm going to go away now and have a go at making one of these in vellum, and I will be back at the end with some photographs for you to have a look at. So here I've lifted out some 155 GSM vellum, and I've got a sheet of Tim Holtz paper, and I've photocopied that onto the vellum, and I'm just showing it there. So here I'm just trimming away the edges on my vellum to get the size that I want. So as I've mentioned before, 18 by 24 centimeters is the size of paper I'm working to. So I'm just measuring it up and taking off a little bit top and bottom so that I don't lose too much of the paper that I want. I've also got another sheet of vellum here, and again the 155 GSM, and I'm just trimming this to size because I actually end up making 3 of those hexagons. This was just a piece of vellum packaging that I had in amongst my stash, and as you can see it's ripped on the right hand side, but I can just trim it so that that rip is gone. And again I'm doing the same. There's a couple of blobs of wax on there, and as I say, I'm doing exactly the same, trimming it top and bottom so that I don't lose too much of the design that I want. There we go. So there are my 3 pieces, my 3 hexagons, and here I am just going in and doing all those folds that I told you. So that's my first valley fold, this is my second one going into place, opening it out, left hand flap in place, and you'll see all the time I'm constantly checking with my bone folder that I've got a good crease in place. Constantly adjusting it to make sure. It's not particularly good working in this weight of vellum actually. I would recommend 100 GSM or even tracing paper, because it's not the easiest to fold, and it's not very forgiving if you get your folds wrong. Just trimming off a little bit off the end there, and I didn't find this one settled in nicely at all. You can see I'm having to readjust my folds. I wasn't happy with that one. This is the packaging. This was lighter weight. I would say this was about 100 GSM printed vellum, and even though it was creased from being wrapped round whatever it was acting as packaging for, can't remember now, I've had it that long, it didn't make any difference to the folds that I wanted to create. It was very, very forgiving to work with. So definitely, if you're going to do vellum, work with a lighter weight vellum or even tracing paper. Really loved how this one folded into place really easily. There you go, look, no effort at all. And then again, this was the Tim Holtz piece of paper, designer paper or cardstock that I copied onto the 155 GSM vellum that I have here at home, and just trimming off the edges there, make sure it's absolutely square, and then going in with my folds. Just constantly adjusting, making sure I've got everything accurate, those points meeting nicely. Using my ruler to do that long fold. And here, just pushing in my flap. Now this one folded better than the plain 155 GSM vellum, but you can see I'm still having to adjust and fiddle with it. Paper works better, providing it's not heavyweight paper. There's my 3 hexagons, and having made all 3, I decide I don't like all 3. So I've gone for the original vellum one there. I've got a piece of printed vellum that I tried out. And what I've got there on top of my little journal is the original piece of vintage book page where I showed you how to do the folds. And I just covered that with tracing paper and I really liked the look. Here I'm using a couple of scraps of the plain vellum to back a little bit of, or a little portion of, the glassine bag. And I've lifted out these postcards, thinking I will use one of those on top of the belly band to add some interest. And I actually go in and I stitch over the top of that belly band, just for some more interest, just determining how much I need to glue down. And I'm showing you my stitching there. I stitch around the outside of that little postcard as well. You'll see on the close-up photos. So I've glued down the right hand side, but not the left hand side, because I want to go in and put some some of the glassine bag down that left hand side. Liking that bit I've torn off. So I'm going in and gluing it in place. And now I glue my belly band across. And I've got a little scrap left over, so I'm going to use that on the right hand side. You saw me auditioning it there. I decide I want to add a little bit of interest to the little postcard. So I've got some vintage book page. It's the first page out of a vintage book I've got here. And I'm just creating a rough torn edge all the way round and doing a little bit of rolling to distress it even further. Here I've got a printed circle of vellum that was just in my printed vellum scrap bag, and I just glued that in place. And you'll see I go in with another one later on. Do have a bit of an issue trying to place that and end up peeling it up again and repositioning it. And then this is my postcard, just getting glued to the belly band. And I decide I'll do something on the cover on the right hand side. So I've got a piece of the glassine bag. It's not quite big enough to meet the vintage ledger paper, but I can bridge that gap with another piece of vintage paper. And that square that I'm putting in the centre there, that is just a piece of brown paper with some piano paper over the top, stitched all the way round. And I just had that off to one side on my desk here for another project, and thought, well, actually I can use it on this project. I can soon make another one another day. So I've got it in place, and here you can see I'm going in. I found another one of those printed vellum circles from a project I did, probably about 2-3 years ago. I had a few of those left over, and I've just glued it under the belly band. I like that little bit of interest there. So here I'm not liking how the bottom is looking on the right hand side, so I'm auditioning various pieces that have been printed out onto vellum, and I decide I like the butterfly in the end, but I don't want too much of it showing. So you can see I'm ripping away a portion on the right hand side, then I'm ripping along the bottom to get a slightly distressed edge, and then I'm gluing it in place, and I'm loving the colours. And then the portions that were left over from that piece of printed vellum that the butterfly was on, I'm just dotting those around that piece of piano roll scrap, just for more interest, to break up the edges, and just auditioning them in various places. Decide I want to break up that edge down the left hand side of the butterfly, so I'm staggering a piece there. Decide I want a bit top left hand corner there, so just take it over onto the other page. So I more or less use all of that butterfly vellum piece, and it just adds some continuity around my page, I think. Like that scrap up there, but it's a little bit too regular, continuing the line from the glassine bag, so I've just ripped a portion off so that it would drop down a little bit. And just popping my hexagon in behind the belly band and the postcard, checking that it shuts nicely. And here I've got a flashcard, and I'm just inking around the edges before I glue it into place as another interactive feature on my page. Here I'm going in with some washi stickers on my hexagon. So this is the back of the hexagon, where there's no folds. So just putting a big sticker on there. And then I'm just cutting out one, maybe two more pieces, just to fill it up a little bit more. And here I am doing the side where all the folds are, and just putting the washi stickers down as normal, and you'll see that I do 2 or 3 washi stickers to try and build up my image. So I've got a second one there, and just popping that on. I'm just making sure that when I put them down I burnish them very, very well so that they'll sit nicely over the folds. And in a minute you'll see that I go in with my craft knife and just ease it between the folds so that it breaks the washi sticker, and it leaves me with a portion on each of the folded pieces. So there I am, just going through down each of the folds with my craft knife, just being very, very careful. Here I am just opening out my piece, and I've got a scrap piece of stained paper, not sure if it's tea or coffee stained paper, and it's just cut roughly to size, just trimming off a little bit more, and I'm just making sure it'll sit inside that centre portion comfortably and that it will fold up quite nicely. Here I'm adding a little bit of glue and choosing a washi sticker to go in the centre. So I'm liking that one, and just burnishing it down and peeling off the protective cover. There we go. Still looking a little bit plain to me, so I'm going in here with a black pen and my ruler, and I'm just adding a little bit of doodling around the outside of that hexagon. So this is what my finished page looks like, and I love it. The extra little interactive feature that I added was behind this flashcard, and I just glued a piece of vintage French diary paper between 2 flashcards and folded it. So this just sits folded against this rectangle here of just a scrap of brown paper with some piano roll paper over the top stitched together. You saw how I just patched little portions from this vellum piece around and behind that, just tucked in behind, just to add a little bit more detail. And on this side, obviously I've got my postcard, which is stitched, backed onto brown paper. I've got my belly band, which is also stitched and backed with some scraps of the vellum. And then I went in and decorated my hexagon shape just with, sorry, I've got late sunlight here, so I hope you can see this okay. There will be photographs at the end for you to have a better look without the sunlight streaming through the window here. So as you can see, I've just put some washi sticker on the front there to embellish this piece, just very, very simply. I put some more on the back, and this opens up, and inside, if I just open this up, find the one that, this is the one. There we go. You always have one that is the last fold and locks it all in place for you. So if I open it up, then that's what it looks like inside. Another sticker in there, and I just did a little rough doodle around the outside. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this one come together, everybody, as much as I enjoyed creating it. I really had fun. I got a bit frustrated when my hexagons wouldn't work right, but it's the name of the game, isn't it? And we all have fun crafting away. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you will join me for the next prompt in this little Junk Journal July series. Until then, happy crafting, everybody. Bye for now.